Our upcoming Faith and Life event will feature a speaker talking about faith and freedom. In this episode, I'd like to just give a preview of what he has to say. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. Good to be with you, as always. Today's episode is airing on Tuesday, March 15th, which is 2 days before the next installment in this year's season of the Faith and Life lectures. We've talked about that before. And so I just want to say a word about our speaker on Thursday, the 17th. His name is Sohrab Ahmari. His family immigrated to the United States from Iran when he was a teenager. He's a journalist and author. And my expectation, at least, is that he's going to be speaking mostly about his most recent book called The Unbroken Thread. The subtitle is Discovering the Wisdom of Tradition in an Age of Chaos. And the title of his talk on Thursday is actually Faith and Freedom, Finding Joy in Duty. So I'm going to just say a little bit about what inspired this book, but I'd encourage you to come on Thursday, again, Thursday, March 17th, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. It will also be available via live stream, and we'll provide a link to that below. But this book was initiated, or he came up with the idea for the book when he heard about the story of a gentleman named Maximilian Kolbe, which is a name you may not have heard of. Most of us, I think, have heard of the name Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a Lutheran martyr to the Nazis towards the end of World War II. Maximilian Kolbe was also a martyr to the Nazis. He was a Franciscan priest born in Poland. He was actually canonized by the Catholic Church in 1982. And again, Kolbe's story was really what inspired Sohrab to write this book. What happened is that Maximilian Kolbe was arrested by the Germans once and then freed and then arrested again. And at that point, he was sent to Auschwitz, where he became prisoner number 16670. And again, Sohrab's talk is going to be faith and freedom. And here we pick up this idea of, even in a prison, the fact that Maximilian Kolbe lived as if he were free. And so Sohrab Ahmari writes, at Auschwitz, Kolbe continued his ministry as if he were still free. He heard confessions, he gave alms to the poor, and he preached. No, they will not kill our souls, he told a gathering of his prisoners in one sermon. When we die, then we will die pure and peaceful, resigned to God in our hearts. Now that attitude by itself is worth noting, but the critical or the most powerful part of his life is that at the time he was in Auschwitz, a prisoner escaped. The punishment for that was to round up 10 other prisoners and put them in a bunker where they were forced to starve to death. He was not chosen as one of those 10 prisoners, but a father with a wife and children was, and Maximilian Kolbe asked the guard if he, Maximilian Kolbe, could take that prisoner's place, which he did. And he did starve to death, and to this day, the bunker is a site of pilgrimage for many people. So let me just read, again, this is all about freedom, right? Let me read a little of what Sohrab Ahmari says about this story. What gripped me the most, what I couldn't get out of my head once I learned about Kolbe, was how his sacrifice represented a strange yet perfect form of freedom. An ordinary man, once the guard had passed over him in the line, might be stunned by his luck and gobble up the night's rations all the more eagerly, knowing how close he had come to death. Kolbe, however, climbed the very summit of human freedom. He climbed it, and this is the key to his story, I think, by binding himself to the cross, by denying and overcoming with intense spiritual resolve his natural instinct to survive. His apparent surrender became his triumph, and nailed to the cross, he told his captors in effect, I'm freer than you. In that time and place of radical evil, in that pitch-black void of inhumanity, Kolbe asserted his moral freedom and radiated what it means to be fully human. And again, Sohrab Ahmari will talk more about this on Thursday, but his point, and I will summarize it with this another sentence, is that we have abandoned Kolbe's brand of freedom, freedom rooted in self-surrender, sustained by the authority of tradition and religion, in favor of one that glories in the individual will, that says freedom is I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, and there shouldn't be any restrictions or boundaries or barriers to what I can do, right? Sohrab Ahmari and other Christian thinkers over the ages have certainly pushed back on that. And I guess I would say, again, come on Thursday, listen to what he has to say, but I would also welcome your response to that idea of freedom. Much more could be said about it. But I'm curious if it resonates with you, if you resist that idea, or if you're attracted by how Kolbe led his life, and if that strikes you actually as a form of freedom or something else. So as always, please comment below. Hope to see you Thursday, and until then, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.